Yeah, seems so. Well, let's talk about that now with investigative journalist Tony Gosling joining us on the line from Bristol. Hi, Tony. What do you make of Vladimir Putin, again, being immediately, knee-jerkly, most people would say, pulled into this as the main villain in the media without any information to back it up, really?
Well, it does smack of a knee-jerk reaction, doesn't it, Kevin? Also, the analysis here and the Western press has been pretty appalling about what Boris Nemtsov's role was really in Russian politics. Again and again, they're talking about him as the opposition. Actually, he's really a bit of a has-been. He was, because he was a part of the Yeltsin coalition. David Cameron's been saying that he wanted to bring an end to corruption. Actually, people around the world who bother to analyse these things will see that actually Yeltsin's was an era of massive corruption. These neoliberal parties in Russia actually only total around about at the highest 5% of the vote. So they're not really the opposition. They are a minor opposition. They're pro-EU, pro-US parties, and the main opposition is the communists in Russia. Also, there's this impression given that Putin isn't popular over in Russia. Of course, he is genuinely, and most Russians see him as a good manager. I mean, I wish we could say that for our Western leaders. So there's a universally false picture being painted of what's going on within Russian politics. And thank goodness there are some voices that are able to show how Boris Nemtsov fitted into that.
Well, you talked to Western leaders there. World leaders were, of course, quick to condemn the murder. But for a waning opposition politician, as you just said, like Nemtsov, why did they feel all of a sudden that they had to speak their minds in this particular case as quickly as they did?
Well, they're jumping. It's far too much of a rush to judgment for me. I mean, Obama has called for a prompt, impartial and transparent inquiry. I think that's what everybody wants. But it would be nice if Western leaders did that in the case of their own problems. One, for example, the Ghouta chemical weapons attack in Syria in 2013. That still hasn't been publicised properly. What Seymour Hersh and Carla Del Ponte at the UN found out that it was almost certainly the rebels that caused that. The MH17 crash. Has that been a prompt and impartial and transparent inquiry? Because the Malaysian Airlines have been pretty much shut out of the entire inquiry. So there's lots of problems here. The other thing is the background really to this between these two main neoliberal parties, Nemtsov's Parnas party, which is the Progress Party, and also the Yabloko party. I'm not sure if I pronounced that. Yabloko, I think it's called.
Not far out.
And that's right. They're basically vying with each other because Yabloko, there's evidence that they've been taking a lot of money from the US, allegations and evidence of £2.5 million paying protesters. It's nice work if you can get it. 1,000 protesters, $2,500 each to protest for 2 weeks. And Nemtsov, to his credit, and his party, Parnas, have been totally against the idea of taking foreign money. And what a lot of people I've been reading have been saying is that potentially, what he was doing was stopping Western funding of some of the more extreme neoliberal parties in Russia. So there's a possible motive there. And of course, this all needs to be looked into properly. No running to judgment.
I mean, he may not have been...
I think. Sorry.
He may not have been frontline in the political field, and as we've been saying at length, and as you've just said, for a long time now. Nonetheless, he seems to have been pretty popular among the public, if you judge by the amount of people that came out today to mourn him, maybe because they thought the passing of a reasonably nice guy or someone that they liked for whatever reason. Police say over 16,000 people turned out. Others, though, at that march today say could have been up to 50,000. That was the maximum that were allowed to come out on that march today. Do you think Nemtsov still had some impact with the public? His persona had some impact after all, then?
Definitely. And you know what? If I was a Moscovite, I'd have been out today because I think everybody wants to stand together, including the opposition to the Parnas party, in actually saying, well, what we want is a fair and decent political system in Russia. And we are actually able to accept that people have different views and vote in different ways, and that it's not so tribal as the West seems to be implying here. So, yeah, I mean, if I was over in Russia, Kevin, I would be out on the streets too today with these people, supporting essentially democracy and a proper political system. And also the fact that over in the West, our system actually is broken. And that that's the one thing that the Western media doesn't want to talk about. And maybe something good can come of this ultimately, in that it concentrates the minds of those in Russia to make sure that they actually keep a really, really strong democracy and don't go the way we have here in the West, where actually we're mostly controlled and owned, our political parties are, by the City of London, Wall Street and the money men. We don't want that.
Tony,
and I'm sure the Russians don't want it either.
Tony, thank you for your thoughts. Investigative journalist there, Tony Gosling, on the line from Bristol in the UK.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.